Hey everyone, welcome to Crypto Clarity. My name is Sahil, and this is the channel where we talk all about blockchain and cryptocurrencies. So, in today's video, I will be continuing the series of interviews that I do with innovators and founders in the cryptocurrency space. In today's video, I will be talking to Mark Montfort, who is a seasoned professional with over a decade experience in the finance and technology industries. He is the co-founder of Not Centralized and Australian Defi Association, who are creating big communities in the crypto space in Australia especially. And today I'm really excited to bring him over to this Crypto Clarity channel and trying to talk to him about the current market condition, what are his thoughts about this space, and what does he want to see in this space. We'll also learn about his latest project and how it aims to make an impact in the cryptocurrency world. Don't miss out on this opportunity to hear from one of the leading voices in the industry in Australia. Let's go. All right. Hey, Mark, how are you doing? Thanks for joining in.
Hey Sahil, really nice to be here. Thanks for having me on your show.
It's amazing, man. We just had the event recently, and it was great to meet people from Australian DeFi Association. And I was really keen to do this, and it's amazing that you came on board for talking to people who are literally looking for the community in the space.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's really important that we have people like yourself doing shows just like this because we need to spread the word, spread the message, and really just highlight a lot of the good stuff that's going on in the space. There's a lot of negative things out there,
Yeah.
and they're for good reason, but there's also a lot of like misconceptions, and it's good to clear that up and just really show where the space is heading.
Yeah, and with all of that is going on, you are positioned where you are seeing the adoption happening, and you are seeing the organizations doing what they are doing. I believe that this is why you will be really valuable for people who are trying to learn and trying to understand this space as like a product rather than just a financial asset.
Absolutely. I think, we are very lucky because we work in the space, myself
Yeah.
and my business partners, but by creating this community, and we'll talk through, how that got started, but by creating a community and
Yeah.
seeing that grow is
Mhm.
something that we didn't know where it was going to head to, but it's exceeded and gone beyond our hopes and expectations. So it's been really amazing.
True, true. That's right. So tell me a little bit about yourself and how you started Australian DeFi and Not Centralized, uh, and how you got to that ideation of those ideas that are so big for you now, and
Yeah.
literally your life is literally your life. So,
Yeah, I mean, it really is. I was just saying to you before we got started, I'm like having some friends around tomorrow, and it's a lot of people in the Web3
yeah,
space. Like I'm even hanging out with people
yeah,
outside, so there is no work and then life is separate. It is all just one thing, but in a good way, it feels that
yeah,
this is not work. This is a passion
yeah,
project of ours, and the way that it got started was not very long ago. Some people
yeah,
don't realize that we've only just been around for just over a year. We didn't
yeah,
start the DeFi Association to begin with. Initially, I was working on a project. My background is in, I guess it's across three areas: data, technology, and finance. And that's what I've been
yeah,
working on in Australia as well as the UK and the US. And
yeah,
my last role in that space was I was head of data analytics at an accounting firm. And I
yeah,
used to work at the ASX, so I know all about capital markets, a lot of equities and
yes,
ETFs. And then getting into Web3 was because I was running a consultancy and we had a friend of ours that was looking for data analytics type work for a guild, a gaming guild. And we started looking
yeah,
into blockchain more. And it's because of that that we said, well, we need to learn about it. There's these communities. Let's go to the
yeah,
meetups. And we would go to the meetups and then you would wait another 30 days for the next meetup. And then you wait another
yeah,
30 days for the next meetup. So all we would be beginning to do was let's just create a little investment, or not even investment, just a learning group on WhatsApp. And then the WhatsApp messages got out of control. So we said we need to move to Discord, and then we made it more
Yeah.
public. And then from there, once we hit, I think about 200 users or messaging each other, we got asked to do meetups. And then from doing meetups in Sydney, we got asked to do meetups in other cities. And from doing that, we ended up with 5 cities. So currently it's like Sydney, Melbourne, and Brisbane, and then Adelaide and Perth. And we've got people over there running the meetups. And now we're going to add 3 more cities in the new year. We're looking at the Gold Coast, Newcastle, and Canberra. And like I said, it's only been 1 year old, yet the goal of having a meetup in every city is, it's going to be very, very, very close. But we had an even bigger milestone, which is the meetups are great, but then everyone goes away from a meetup. We met at the meetup, and then, you go to conferences, people go back to their own workplace, and you're not surrounded by Web3 people. So we've got an exciting project that's come up with Stone and Chalk, where we are building basically a Web3 innovation center. And that's going to be a place where people in Web3 can all sit and work together and create new ideas. But all of this is not profit. That is my community hat that I wear. And then the commercial hat is this is not centralized. And this is where we do Web3 advisory kind of work. So smart contracts, raising capital for projects, building community. We do all the work where I get to eat and, pay for my apartment and stuff. I get to do that from the advisory. So it's nice to balance community and, the commercial side of things in this work, but it's all Web3, which is beautiful, really.
Exactly. That's literally what you want in life. You have a passion and you have it as your work, and also you're bringing value to people who are, starting to grow out in that space and doing that every day. Yeah. No, you are. That's the reason, that's it's grown so fast in the last 1 year, even when you didn't plan for it. And you didn't know that. It's like, it's pretty quick, especially in Australia. You never know if people were interested or not. There were a lot of confusions about the legislation and regulations, but people are still going in. That's amazing to see that.
Yeah, that's absolutely it. And we see it all the time because we're running it. We get to see who are the faces that are coming to these events and the people that continue to come back. And then we're seeing new faces come into it as well. So hopefully, that just continues, and with enough people telling the others about the events that we're doing. And, the goal for us is, with all these events, we want people to learn something from all of this, but we also believe in entertainment. We're kind of funny with how we do things, but there is a serious nature to things as well. So, we're not just like a plain, we actually do some things where, even if we're talking about legal stuff or regulation, you actually are entertained by it, because there's a lot of good, fun people in this space that just want the truth and the really good things about blockchain tech to come out. And so we're very lucky to have found those people. But it's like edutainment. So education, entertainment kind of mold those into one.
And that's where people come in and they stay, because otherwise it gets a bit boring. Legal terms, they are a bit hectic for some people, and again, it's everything you cannot understand, because there are a lot of terminologies that's not their day to day. So not everyone needs to understand that as well. But it's amazing that you are doing those kind of events. And I remember that one was with the Sensend, and that was really amazing. Collaboration with them as well. So how are you, looking at that side of the Web3 space, the collaborative side, and what's your thoughts about those?
It's a very good question. First of all, Sensand is one of our partners at Australia Defi Association. So 2 of the leaders in that group, their head of marketing, Adelaide, and then also James, who's working with them, and Peter, who's one of the founders there. They all are very supportive. They went to our meetups, they saw what we were doing, they got in touch, and basically we formed a relationship with them where they run the Australia Defi Association in partnership with us for Melbourne. And as that grows out, they've been able to attract more of the people that they work with. And then because it's, these circles you get to know people in these circles. The people that they're talking to, they become our friends. People that we're talking to, they become their partners, etc. So it really is interesting collaboration, and it's there's a lot of C words in this space, but good C words like community is one, collaboration is another, cooperation and all that kind of stuff. And the way that collaboration works is very different to, for example, the way that it happens in Web 2. And when I say Web 2, I mean that if you're building a startup, you're not often collaborative at the start. You build in stealth. Often, and I've built, various startups I've helped with. I've built my own. My business partners have done the same, and so we've had some nice experience from trying and failing and all that. But when you're looking at Web 2, you build usually quiet behind the scenes, and you only show when there is nearly a finished product. Whereas in Web 2, Web 3, if you do it that way, it's not always the best, because I've been in a situation where you see two projects. One is a finished project and it's presented to the community, and another is not a finished project, it's just an idea. And the community really liked the non-finished project. They didn't like the one that was really polished and finished, because it's already finished. There's no opportunity to really participate in its growth. It's done. Whereas there's a lot of potential when it comes to the one that's just getting started. But as we've seen with decentralized autonomous organizations, DAOs, there are things that are still being figured out, like what works and what doesn't work. And unfortunately, there's a lot of media hype and scrutiny around the failures, even though, in the real world, 99% of startups will fail, right? If someone starts a business, you are more than likely to fail. But we don't, just berate really negatively that kind of place. But it's interesting.
It's a VC environment.
Yeah, it really is.
That's how it is.
It's a crazy, kind of space with all the different investors, VCs and otherwise. But, there's a reason why it is a bit different, because there's more money involved. Well, not more money, but, people's money is at stake. But even in real world, there's money at stake. So it's interesting that crypto and blockchain and Web3 just gets so much negative scrutiny. But in a way, that's good. That's my fuel. That's my mission to, turn that kind of stuff around, because there's still a lot of good things, even with the FTX collapse and all that. Blockchain technology hasn't changed. It's still good. They weren't using blockchain tech to its true.
That tells us a lot about that, okay, we need blockchain for this reason, that centralization was failing. So we needed that. Otherwise, it wouldn't have come to this. And that's what I talk about, on Crypto Clarity, is clearly why people need that different kind of perspective and that scrutiny as well, but also practicality of the technology, but that it is a technology in the end and it will be adopted. So
that's true.
No matter
that's
what,
true. And what you said there, that it's not just the FTX. Like, if we had that level of transparency there, and people are saying that, well, that would have solved it, but we need regulation. Yeah, we need some clarity there. But even in the most regulated markets, scams and illicit activity still happen. The biggest scam of all in finance was Bernie Madoff, and that was one of the most regulated markets that there is out there. So, and even across like pharmaceuticals, and there's the Elizabeth Holmes and Theranos thing. That's a highly regulated market. Scams still happen. It's because in that space and everywhere, we trust, we don't verify. So blockchain tech that, no need to be, trusting of a person. We don't have to. We just verify. It's trustless. So we need more of that everywhere.
Exactly. And all of the, industries have that issue because of how people are. It's our general behavior that someone will try to find a loophole in situations, and they will try to find it and do, something bad with it. But in the end, they will be like, oh, I didn't intend to do it. So later on, you can't say that, okay, I trusted them. And now, if you have a technology related to that, why not put it to use and, go through it in future, so that, why you need to trust someone.
It's interesting where the world is going. No, that's it. You just got to, and even then, okay, so we've got to trust the code, and it is, you said something before about like the regulation, and it relates to this, like the trusting the code, because people that are negative about this, they'll just say that, well, we trusted these institutions, now we have to trust the code, but that code is made by someone. And that's
Yeah.
true. Or they'll say that, well, I don't understand the code, so how can I trust it? But luckily, we've got these AI tools that are out there, like ChatGPT, which is just going
Yeah.
crazy. And I've seen
Yeah.
people use it to copy bits of code or complex topics, like Steve Vallis, the former head of Blockchain Australia, very
Yeah.
well known in the space here, and now he's heading Blockchain APAC, and he's an advisor
Yeah.
to global firms, and he'll do amazing things. Good friend of Australia Defi, Not Centralised, but he was using, the Treasury Department came out with, here are all of the different responses to the paper that we put out last year. And he
Yeah.
used ChatGPT to summarize what was in those papers to give
Yeah.
some dot points. So there are
Give me some
ways
dot
that
points.
even if you don't understand the regulation, put it through,
Yeah.
ChatGPT or something like that, because I'm sure
Yeah.
that they'll start, making us pay for that because it's such a popular tool. But there are
The
ways.
servers are getting down.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not as scary a world that people think it is. They need to listen to
Yeah.
shows like yours. They need to come to our meetups, or they need to, become a founder and sit in the
Yeah.
workspace that we're creating with Stone and Chalk. There's all these things that are very friendly and open. And you said it before, like with the collaboration part. That's really key
Yeah.
to all of this. We didn't learn. We knew nothing at the start. We only learned because we listened to really cool podcasts. So we got pointed out where to read things, or like who to speak to, and we're just sharing that information to help us grow all together.
True. That's the point of having a community, that you have that same goal and same passion. Then you can talk to each other, and everyone has something to add. So it becomes like a hive mind, and it's amazing how things comes out of that hive mind, and your creativity is different, next level after that.
It's interesting to that point. I think what's really cool is, and this is something that we learn about ourselves really. We were running some meetups, and it was in one of the Melbourne, or maybe it was the Brisbane meetup, but anyway, it was one of those where someone was talking about the space that we've got, and how there's all these different walks of life that are coming into the space. People that you wouldn't normally see mixing together on the outside, but they mix together here. And they said, oh, it's so good that you give a chance to those people. And I thought, hang on a second, like my partner, business partner Arturo, and I thought, hang on a second, that doesn't sound right. It sounds like people are saying, well, we have power, so we give others a chance. And that's not what it is. I think it's the reverse. We give ourselves a chance to learn from people that we would not normally speak with. It's the reverse. And they weren't meaning it in a bad way. They didn't mean it negatively. But it just shows you that inherently we've got this bias that
power dynamic.
We don't associate with those guys, but in this space, it's all open. It's all, collaborative and together. So it was really interesting seeing that as something from, doing these meetups.
That's right. And I would like to know, what are your short-term goals with AusDefi, and what are your long-term goals with, both of the organizations, Australian DeFi and Not Centralized? What's your future? What do you look forward to?
Yeah, no, it's going to be an interesting time, because last week we just made that announcement with Stone and Chalk, and the focus is on getting all the people that are interested in having a desk starting there in January. We'll be sitting there as well. So, if you want to sit and talk to us every day about Web3 stuff, that's the opportunity there. And, the mix of people. So it's not just the meetups and that you go to, you actually get to do it every day. And we've got the Discord, but this is physical. You can actually see us and talk to us, and the others that are going to be part of it. But that's the short-term goal, is to get that underway, to have that working across Sydney, Melbourne and Adelaide, and then starting to bring across partners who will help deliver education and messages into that crew. And then another short-term goal, that's for the association. Another short-term goal, I guess, for Not Centralized is to be continuing to support the association, as well as delivering the type of advice that we can bring to these early stage startups and scale-ups. And then I think in the long term, it's that we've got a few projects that are underway that we can't really mention too much just yet publicly. But some of those projects for Not Centralized, we want to see those come out into the public space, where we're taking advantage of the key factors of blockchain tech, which is automation and transparency, and being able to easily transfer value and having composability, that we can piece together a new tool from the Lego blocks of other tools, right? And so having that, and then seeing Oz DeFi become more mature and actually running in these other cities, in 8 cities every month across Australia, maybe even at more cities, but having Oz DeFi becoming a more important part of the Australian and the APAC blockchain scene, I think is really key. And that's it really. I just want to continue working in Web3 because this is such an exciting space to be in. We count ourselves very lucky for having had the timing and the fortune to get in when we did, and being able to be in this position to invite more people in. So those are the short and long-term goals, but we'll see how it plays out. We're always adaptable, to whatever the situation happens, but that's, at least for now, that's where we want to go to.
True. As another question was, as we touched on it at the start of the chat, that current market with FTX happening, all the bad things coming through, you have been seeing a lot of negativity. So how do you keep that away, and also understand it practically that it is not going away, it is a technology? And how do you tell yourself that, and also people who are working with you?
Yeah, it's interesting because there is a bit of psychology at play there, and it's you've got to make sure that you're not just believing in things without any merit. There is a lot of merit here, because what's interesting is that the failures were not due to the blockchain technology itself. There are these, I'm not saying that everything needs to be decentralized, even though we are the Australian DeFi Association. Decentralization is a spectrum, and there might be some companies that are doing part Web2 centralized type stuff and then part Web3. Just because they're only doing part of their business in Web3 should not mean that, we should discount them. There are good reasons why different companies do things differently that way. So I guess, the whole FTX thing, like we knew, and even with Luna and others and stuff out there, like where it's more, it's the algorithm at play, and that's not what worked. But the ones where it was these centralized issues, we just know, and we can see that where it is decentralized, like Aave and Uniswap and SushiSwap, these things work really well, and they're continuing to work. Like there's, and even more beautifully, when things have failed, they still continue to work, where you don't have to go to courts and arbitration. Like we're seeing, they have to take Sam to jail. They have to go through the court process. There's the liquidators in Australia and in other countries that are going through this process. But when it's the code, it's just automatically paying back if the loans go bad. If your margin called, it just automatically pays back the lender, and the borrower, loses out. That kind of stuff we can see happening more that's in a negative way, but at least you don't have to go through the courts. It could have been worse. In a positive way, we're seeing things where we can have a situation, and this is the thing, when you put the glasses on of what blockchain tech is about to solve real world problems, when you look at the normal world of commerce, to me, DeFi is not about lending and borrowing only, and liquidity and yield and all that only. It is about, how do we do commerce in the new world? Imagine a situation, this is something we've publicly been saying that we're building, and we are in the background, right? In the construction space, a builder might be doing work for 30 days, buying materials, hiring staff, and then another 30 days, they invoice and they wait another 30 days. There's 60 days. They don't know if the other side has money. You're getting paid by your employer. You don't know if they've got money, but in a blockchain world, you can see, for example, because we've created something, and others are, potentially doing this, where you have to put up some collateral, or there has to be a visibility that I can see that the other side has money. Because if they take that out, or if they do something in that wallet, I know as a consultant or a builder or a contractor that something's up, and it can avoid me continuing to do work if there's issues in the liquidity. So why don't we have transparency like that? And I agree that there's some things that need to be kept private, but just because the tool is there doesn't mean we use of everything. We have to be pragmatic with how we do it. But these are tools. It's like when people get angry at NFTs, it's like getting angry at a PDF. What are you doing, right? I can understand if you're angry at the bad behavior, but some people are
Yep.
angry at the tech without understanding. And it's just like, do we think that the world as it is now, we're not going to get any better?
Yeah.
Innovation is inevitable. It's obviously the right innovation that we need, but you can't stop the technology that's moving forward. This is the beauty of the space, and that's why we rode the wave that we're on. So FTX and all this kind of stuff, all that stuff that I just ran you through, we're either talking about it and helping others educate about that. We've got a document that's online, that's public, we call it FUD Bill, the fear, uncertainty, and doubt, where it's all the common misconceptions about blockchain. And we wrote it in March last year, and we made it publicly available. Those are old arguments, but they're still true. They still haven't changed.
Yeah.
So
every time a bear market is there, they will stand true.
That's it. And look, there are things like I mentioned Luna before, and there's, that's code, but that was more of a design flaw. And anytime when, there are these new players that come up and say that, oh, we're going to do an algorithmic stablecoin. Well, people look at that with a bit more skepticism, but at least it is code. So it's going to be interesting where we get to, because we are going to, try more things. We are going to fail. But if we put up the right kind of guardrails, and this is the thing with the whole FTX and Luna and even TradFi type scams and issues, if we use blockchain technology, the value transfer, the automation, the transparency, we could actually solve problems, not just in DeFi and crypto and all that, but also in TradFi.
Supply chain, everywhere,
Yeah, it's ironic, man. It's ironic because people say, oh, it's blockchain that's failing. No, blockchain's needed even more.
Yeah, it's even telling you that the reason why we need this kind of technology, and you can't have this kind of disparity in trust, and also have so many technologies coming over with AI. I was thinking about creating a video with AI and crypto and blockchain technology. So that's where smart contracts will be even stronger when you can audit them using AI. Then,
yourself. You can audit it yourself.
You can audit it yourself.
About the code, but you can audit it because you can use these tools to tell you what's going. Imagine. So here's the thing that's really interesting. I've seen ones where people have, and maybe they'll restrict the AI from doing this, but because it's so raw, I've seen ones where people have tried to use the AI to find exploits in the Ethereum contract. So that's a dangerous thing.
And that's good though.
Well, yeah, it's good to fix.
But danger.
It's good if they fix it, right? And they put bug bounties out there to help you find these exploits. And look, maybe you can use the ChatGPT thing to find those exploits and then get the reward or something like that. And you don't know anything about code. It'd be beautiful. I'd love to see that. But technology is a double-edged sword. But humans are using technology to do more good than harm, I would argue. And no doubt we're going to find more ways to harm ourselves, but at least, we move forward, like up and to the right, we progress further. So it's going to be interesting. I'd like to see that video that you get to do on AI and Web3.
Yeah, and the interesting part about it is I am doing the, whole list of things that I'm trying to create. I'm doing the script from that AI. So that will be really interesting to see, how you can bring all that together to even create content, videos, and all those creative ideas that you might not have sometimes, and sometimes you need some help. And as a person who does it alone, it's really handy for me. So
I know what you mean. I create content as well, and it takes time. And even though you can come up with all these things, like you can come up with the things that ChatGPT is there if you put in hours of work. If it can save you hours of work, and then you can add your voice to it after
your own thing,
that
your
is
own
beautiful.
tone to it. That is something, I really think that it is going to change a lot of the things now.
I think it's going to be paid for as well. No doubt they're going to start charging us, but hopefully it is a reasonable, price. Like, I don't know, $10 a month or something, like a Netflix. That'd be good.
There'll be $1 billion straight away.
Yeah, exactly. They had 1 million users in the first 5 days. Just charge each of them like $10 a month. My
exactly. God. That's literally testing it out before making it the real thing.
That's it.
Talking about the AI part, I would like to know if you have any other areas of interest in blockchain space, especially things like tokenization, which is something that I'm also discovering now. And what are your thought about those type of technologies coming out of blockchain?
Yeah, what's really interesting is that it's a mix of technology, but also ways of thinking about how we organize and do value transfer. And I'm sure you've covered this, previous kind of episodes. What's Web 1, 2, and 3? And it's Web 1 was in the internet and only reading and not really having much interaction. Then Web 2 is much more interaction, YouTube videos, creating content like this, Instagram, social media. And then Web 3.
Value transfer.
Value transfer, yes. I say value transfer much more than own, because people will be like, oh, well, you own one billionth of this website or whatever. Like, that's part of it, but it's much more on the value transfer, because I might not participate in that future world in anything to do with a DAO. I might not have this cooperative ownership, but what I will have are faster ways to transact that are more transparent. We'll see technology that, how they have those Uber moments, like, oh my gosh, I can order a random car, and it arrives at my place. And I do it on my phone. I know someone that was, when this was first coming out, they were like getting into this car with their date, getting out and just walking away. And the date's like, what is this?
What happened?
It's like my own private car kind of thing, because Uber wasn't really known. Having those Uber moments, I think we're going to see more of that with the technology and the AI, and hopefully there's like some blockchain elements combined there. But there's other breakthroughs, going on in machine learning and AI, and so that's going to be really interesting to see what happens across industries and corporates and government and fashion and sports. Imagine you see these augmented reality. I saw a video from the World Cup where someone had their phone and they're pointing it to the field. They're very far, and they can, it recognizes and it tags the players. And people always complain about tech. The complaint was, oh, why would you go to a game just to watch it on your phone? And it's like, sorry to swear, but are you fucking kidding? They're showing a sample of what they're doing. They're not obviously just going to watch the game on their phone. You're going to get stats and all this kind of stuff. There's so many, there's a term for it, Luddite, Luddite, someone that is like technology averse, or they for whatever reason they don't want to know. There's so many Luddites out there, yet they're not going to complain when they finally have that aha moment, that Uber moment that really sticks with them. So I think that's going to happen for many people over the next few years.
Yep, definitely. And it happened for me when I was working, like I'm in Web 2 space still, I'm working in healthcare, and I feel that, there is such a lack of, things there, because they are so behind in even Web 2 space. So I see the opportunity in that space as well, because I know that, there are so many, loopholes that can be taken out here if, people are not doing what they should do. And that's how technology will come in, because you can't have every, thing registered and also everything being counted for with people. It's literally physically impossible.
Absolutely. We would still be living on the land if we didn't make tools. We would, and it's not a bad thing. Like, and some people go back to that, but I feel that, a lot of the progress, a lot of things that people take for granted, there's people that complain about, we're doing a lot of harm and damage to the environment with like blockchain, and yet they don't understand that there is proof of work and proof of stake, and those are different energy consumption things, and it's moving more towards, renewable energy. So if the whole world's renewable, the whole world is using those, then there's no argument anymore. And in fact, like people that complained about NFTs, a lot of gaming industry kind of folks, and yet what are you doing with your PC with all the lights and, all of the power that's consuming? Studies have shown that they produce a whole lot more power. I don't know about the comparison, but it's like complaining about someone, flying, and here I am with my gas guzzling car.
Exactly.
Everyone,
and I say that with traditional finance, when they say that that's more economic to run, and that's more less energy consuming. But when you see that how many people they are using, how many resources they are using for one transaction, so when you see those things, then you understand that this is a better way, and it will be adopted by even them. So
It's context, right? It really is
yeah,
context. Like the argument that depending on the situation, sometimes maybe it's just really quick to just do a little Excel calculation,
yeah,
But if you need to do something many, many times, and I'm talking not blockchain necessarily,
yeah,
but data analytics, data science,
yeah,
where I've come from. Sometimes the quickest solution is not to do some fancy dashboard. Sometimes the
dashboard,
quickest thing is just in Excel, right? But
exactly.
if that thing needs to then scale and many people need to have access to that and you need to make changes, you're not going to be able to do that. It's much more inefficient and
Yeah,
arguably it's more consuming of energy and environmental
yeah,
issues that are stemming from that if you have to do it so many different times rather than having one system that
everyone
scales.
can share. Yeah,
We've got to think about things, maybe there's a reason why people don't like a lot of things because they don't like math from school.
yeah,
You have to do the math, unfortunately.
exactly.
Measuring the pros and cons of both sides based on the numbers. And sometimes math isn't alone what you can do, but at least it helps you contextualize, to be able to compare. But we can, I love to
Go
have
on.
a good debate with people. I love to see, what the arguments are. And it's not
Yeah,
I don't want to put them down or anything like that. I just want to open their eyes to some of the education. And I also
exactly.
want to learn. There might be arguments from the other side that we don't know, and we take that on
Yeah.
as well. But we've got to have
Then you can
these.
come back with a better thing, better solution that or there is not,
Yeah,
even you can fix that.
they might point out, and I have this with, that one of the things that you find working in this space is that you might have a solution that you think is going to work in a certain industry. And unless you
Yeah,
talk to people in that industry, you realize what will and won't work. You
yeah,
need to have that because they're the experts that can
yeah,
help you. And if you find people on both sides that are thinking more openly and want to
really,
find
really.
ways to do better, that's going to be a good conversation. You can't argue with people that are just going to fight you no matter what.
Yes,
And sometimes you don't know, so you have the conversations first, but then after a while you
exactly.
find out that it's not going to go anywhere, and that's okay. You can't
Yeah.
really do too much there. You just move on. But I
It's
think more and
about
more,
being
yeah,
more welcoming to the ideas of people, and even
it-
yourself. That's what crypto space, like Web3 space, is in the end. You can bring on people from different walks of life. You can have people who are doing different things, and they create one thing together. That's really important, and that gives that's the difference mainly, if you see, in crux of Web2 and Web3.
I think so. You're
Yeah,
absolutely right. I think that's the point where everyone comes together to just learn really, and that's where we want to be. We want to be in those places where and what I'm going to see, I think, in the new year is more traditional finance or like traditional business that are
yeah,
non Web3. We're going to see more of those. We're seeing it overseas. A lot of
yeah.
TradFi
Starbucks
people.
doing that.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of
Yeah,
TradFi or a lot of non-Web3, because Starbucks isn't finance, but
yeah,
a lot of non-Web3 businesses and people working in those businesses are starting to see this more as like innovation. It's like an
yes.
evolution of, say, fintech or an evolution of health tech, insurtech,
Health tech,
etc.
yeah,
All of these things can benefit from ways that blockchain, can be used. So
exactly.
it's really exciting.
Yeah, and that's what I looked at with Starbucks as an example. When they
Yep.
launched their NFTs, it's amazing to see how many people are using their um, original reward card that they already have, and so many people can use that as a wallet. So when that happens, Starbucks become a bank of itself. They can buy things with that NFT or their wallets, whatever they have created. Everyone has their self-sustaining model. They don't need to depend on different things. They can use that.
Exactly. And
There's
PayPal
less.
came out. PayPal's doing the thing with MetaMask. So it's being
Yeah,
made even easier.
yeah,
Everything is being made easier, which is good. This is innovation. This is what
yeah.
happens.
I was never a fan of PayPal, but yeah, you know how it
Fair.
is.
I won't tell them.
Oh, good. So yeah, like another thing that last but not the least, we can continue this chat forward again,
Yeah.
because yeah, I really love this chat kind of with you, because obviously you have that kind of experience. So since you were in the TradFi space, I want to know, what your thoughts about current market with its maturity and the adoption that we will see. We are already seeing a lot of adoption, but what are your thoughts about the maturity of a Web3 market will be?
Yeah, there's a thing that a group that does a lot of research on technology, they're called Gartner. And they have things that they do. They assess software in data analytics and
the quadrant.
The quadrants, the magic quadrants, where
Magic
it's like they've got their leaders and the people that are moving into those leadership, all about that. Now, one of the other things that they've got is the hype cycle, and this is a chart where it's got time on the bottom, and it's got like the level of hype on the vertical axis. And what ends up happening is when there's a new technology, you get a lot of hype. And then as that hype starts to die out, think of the .com bubble, think of even NFTs and stuff, you start to see what they call the trough that going down, the trough of disillusionment is what they call it. And then what happens there is that you see this thing slowly over time slope up. That is called the slope of enlightenment. And what happens then is when the next more mature wave of adoption. So the initial wave is always because people don't know that much. They have FOMO. It's like
overvaluing.
They're learning. They hear from friends, and they just only know limited things, and we haven't seen all the mistakes and failures, but they dive in. And what we're seeing now is that people have learned over time those mistakes. That slope that we go back up of enlightenment, that's going to be with corporate adoption. That's going to be with smarter users. That's going to be with better ways that blockchain can be used to protect consumers, and that government, will provide clarity. But I want to see a situation where we're seeing government using blockchain technology to make their jobs even more efficient. Like imagine a world where when you do your income tax statement at the end of each year, it's mostly automated. And all you have to do is just read through the things that are there, and you agree or disagree, and you add a few things, but effectively it's just done.
It saves everyone. It saves everyone so many resources and money. That's where efficiency comes into play.
Maybe accountants won't be so happy, but I think with every industry, when things are automated, it means that you as the humans and the workers in that space, you do more value add things. You find other ways to contribute and add value to society. And it's going to happen across many industries, even in the stuff that I'm an expert at with data. Like a lot of it is now automated, right? So I just have to find new ways to stand out. And this is how we progress. We have to stress.
You always have to get up one level, that's always life.
Yeah, that's it. So I feel like that's the market. The maturity is, we're still in the trough of disillusionment. We'll be here for a bit. It's affected by macroeconomic factors like interest rates and like, the potential recession and we're in a recession, but like the depression that might come from this being elongated. But
hyperinflation and then deflation. Cycles as well. So that cycle is also going on, and I think that will be really affecting everything. But I think the innovation side is still, going on. That this is where it builds up, where everything people like yourself are building the real world projects and bringing in the value that is required. So that's more important, I think. In if you look at long term, 10 years down the line, this is the time you want to build in.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the moment to, in even just a small way, just start watching videos or just get in touch with people. Like I've got friends not in blockchain, but they just reach out because they want to learn more about the space. So this is the time where you've got that opportunity to take those first steps. They're not hard. I mean, I'm going to rewrite and redo the education that we have on our website, right? Because we started it, never got to finish it. But now with ChatGPT, I can start filling in and even rewriting some of the stuff I did before and making it better and covering more topics, because A, we know more, and B, we have tools that help us create more. This is the beauty. This is what technology and blockchain tech needs to be about. It's like, how do we make it even better as a society for us? And I'll always fight for that. So, yeah.
Amazing. That's the goal with everything, right?
I think so.
All good. Thanks for, giving out these valuable bits about the space, and it's really amazing to see you achieving so much already. And thanks for coming. I would,
Awesome.
really be happy to session with you, and next time we'll talk more about the current market space and what are you doing again.
Yeah, we'll see which companies are still around by then.
Yeah,
Things could be very different.
yeah.
But no
Two
doubt,
months down the line.
oh yeah, even a week, but even then,
Yeah.
I think the blockchain tech stuff is just still going to continue. It is not going to
Mm,
care about the failures of man and, the weaknesses of different people. It will not care. It will
yeah,
just continue to improve. So, yeah, very excited for that, but looking forward to it.
exactly. Thanks, man. I'll see you next time.
Okay, cheers.